What you're about to listen to is the Fender 68 Custom Deluxe Reverb loaded with a Neo Creamback speaker in the mix with a little help from the Maxon Overdrive Pro. Let's get into it. Welcome back, folks. This is Shane. You're listening to the 68 Custom Deluxe Reverb amplifier loaded with a very special speaker. Let's take a look up close. Here's the amplifier up close. Now, one of the cool things about this amp is we get two separate channels. I usually live on this one over here. I think this one sounds really great. The custom setting also sounds really cool as well. I've owned one of these amps before, and I think one of the best things about it is if you prefer the voicing of the custom channel, you can still use the reverb all the way over here, which is something that the 65 Deluxe Reverb reissue never had, and I actually owned that and this at the same time many years ago, well, the original version of this. One of the other cool things about this amp is it also has an onboard tremolo. We have two controls, speed and intensity, and it can also be used in conjunction with a reverb control as well. Here's the back of the amplifier, and as you can see, here's the Celestion Creamback. This is the Neo G12, and it's rated at 60 watts and 8 ohms. So if you don't happen to like this speaker, which I highly doubt, you can of course replace it with any 8 ohm 12-inch speaker that you like. But this one works extremely well. It's got a really nice smooth sound about it, which is one of those things inherent of most Creamback speakers. These Fender Deluxe Reverb amps are rated at 22 watts, so they're good enough for small to medium gigs. Anything bigger than that, you'll definitely either need to mic it up or get a bigger amplifier. Now, these output tubes in the back are the 6V6s, so they're a really classy Fender sound, and it's also loaded with some 12 AX7 preamp valves. A massive thanks to Sky Music here in Melbourne, Australia for letting me borrow this. This is just a loaner. I didn't buy this or anything like that. If you want to find out more about it, links will be in the description below through to Sky Music. I'll also leave some Sweetwater links down there as well if you live in the United States. So, I'll give you my thoughts about this at the end. Let's get into it. All right, let's kick it off and play my bog standard Fender Mexican Stratocaster. It's a couple of years old. We're going into the vintage channel of the amp with the volume at 4, the treble at 4, the bass at 4. You see a pattern here, and the reverb at 4 as well. And the tremolo is currently off, and then we'll try the other channel. We'll also try it with some pedals as well. Let's start on neck and middle pickup to begin with. Here we go. Over to neck pickup. It's got a very soft sort of sound, really sweet. And over to bridge and middle pickups. Here we go. Man, I like it a lot. Let's crank up the volume to about 5.5, and this is going to mean that the amp's going to get to the point where it's going to break up. Let's give this a shot. I would assume some of that is actual speaker distortion as well. These Neo speakers are quite a bit different to the old big magnet type ones. Over to bridge, here we go. Yeah, all right. Let's give this a shot. I've just cranked the amp up to 7.5 on the volume. We have the treble at about 5, the bass all the way off, and the reverb now at 3. The reason I turn the bass down, the louder you push these amps, the more sort of flubby they get on the low end. It's not just this one, it's all of the Deluxe Reverbs that I've had a chance to play over the years. Let's try this on neck pickup. Here we go. Yeah, all right. I thought it was going to take off for a moment there. It was so close. Now, if I was to turn this up anymore, it's not going to get any louder. It's just going to get more saturated. So for me, that's about as much gain as I'd ever like. Now over to the custom channel of the amplifier. I'm just going to notch the volume up to about 5. We have the treble up at 6.5 and the bass down at about 2. The reverb, even though it's on the vintage side over here, is still active with this amp, which is something that the 65 Deluxe Reverb series of amplifiers doesn't do. So let's give this a shot, both pickups. Over to neck. And over to bridge. Sounds killer. Sounds awesome. Let's crank it up to about 6.5. It's going to get more saturated. I just turned my volume down right at the end there, but as you can hear, it's a gnarly amplifier. No doubt about it. Let's try it with the Tube Screamer. Let's get the amp nice and clean and see how it sounds with the Maxon Overdrive Pro. For those who don't know this pedal, it's like the best Tube Screamer you can buy, in my opinion. I love this thing. I think it sounds great. So I've got the amp at 3.5, the treble at about 6, and the bass at about 3. This is neck pickup. So nice and clean. Pedal on. Over to bridge. Yeah. Thanks for watching, folks. This is Shane. So what are my thoughts about this amp, and especially about this amp with the Celestia Neo speaker? It's pretty cool. Now, I smiled as soon as I plugged it in. If you're looking for a lower powered amplifier with that classy Fender tone, this is a really great choice. There's always one thing to keep into consideration, and this speaker doesn't change the fact that this amp breaks up, to my ear, a whole lot closer than the 65 Deluxe with the stock speaker. This was the case for when I owned one of these back in the day, and I also owned a 65, and when I did my original shootouts, this broke up a lot sooner, and it still does that now. But a lot of people like that kind of sound. If you're not someone who wants to use pedals and you can just crank up the amp and get away with it, this is probably the choice, as it will give you that sort of power tube clipping a little bit quicker than, say, the 65. So keep that in mind as well. One thing I should point out is it feels like they've kind of fixed that hiss that was prominent on the one that I owned. Now, I had one of the original ones of these, and when it was at idle, I could always hear this hiss coming out of the amplifier. This just, it doesn't feel as prominent, which leads me to believe it might have been the speaker in that original one, and that may have caused some of that hissing. I'm not 100% certain what they've done, but this feels like a much smoother amp to play as well. So that Creamback Neo speaker definitely does the business. A massive thanks again to Sky Music for letting me borrow this. I really appreciate it. Check out all the links in the description below. And yeah, let me know what you think of this as well in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Thanks again for watching. I have more Fender amps on the way, so subscribe and click the bell and you'll get notified when they go up. Thanks again. Catch you soon. See ya.